All right, everybody, this is our first Roth IRA office hours. I wanted to host this on a monthly basis every single second Tuesday of the month in order to make sure that I'm doing my part to help people in my community open up a Roth IRA. Personally, opening up a Roth IRA changed my life. I know that sounds so dramatica, but it really did, guys. Learning how to invest in the stock market, learning how to, really increase my financial security by having a greater return of investment beyond just the money in a high yield savings account has provided me with so much financial flexibility. It has also led me to really work on increasing my income so that I could max out my Roth IRA, and just the skills that it takes to max out your Roth IRA repeatedly and is life-changing. For me, it put me on track to be able to become work optional at the age of 47. So just less than 15 years. Well, I started to invest in a Roth IRA at 33, and then now I'm on track to retire at 47. So less than 15 years. So that is why I'm a big fan of a Roth IRA, not because the Roth IRA itself will change you, but learning the skills to max out a Roth IRA repeatedly is so valuable. It's so empowering. And we need us empowered, mi gente. We really, really need us empowered, especially right now as we're navigating a fascist president. Okay, with that said, I am going to go ahead and share my screen. Well, you guys can already see my screen, but I'm just going to enlarge it. At any point you have questions, I want you dropping them in the chat. This is really an opportunity for you to walk away very confident about your own Roth IRA. An important disclaimer is that this presentation is for educational purposes only. Wealth Para Todos LLC does not provide legal, accounting, investment, or tax advice. Please consult qualified professionals for guidance on your specific legal, tax, investment, or accounting obligations. This is really important because we want to upload this to YouTube. So if you're watching the replay later, it's important that you keep this in mind. You always want to get more personalized advice. All right, who I am. I'm Rita Soledad Fernandez Paulino. I am a money and self-care coach. I have my own company called Wealth Para Todos. I am the host of the Wealth Para Todos podcast, which you can listen to every Sunday when we release a new podcast episode. We're a new podcast. We launched on February 23rd, and we have how many episodes so far? Oh, like 19 podcast episodes, maybe 18. Okay, I'm not really sure. But I'm the host of the Wealth Para Todos podcast. I help first gen, second gen wealth builders increase their financial security poco a poco, because I want all of us to become work optional con tiempo. I have a framework about the 10 stages of financial security, and working with my clients, I help them go through these different stages so that we ultimately reach the 10th level of financial security, which is working because we want to, not because we have to, being able to retire early. You can learn more about the 10 stages of financial security on my podcast. I am queer. I'm a queer Mexican American. I'm married to a Black Dominican American. I have a trans daughter, and I have a Black son. We live in Los Angeles County here in California. We are close to everything that is happening in our community in terms of the ICE raids. So that is something that is heavy on my heart, but being able to talk here, dinero, with all of you, it helps me. So I appreciate all of you showing up live today. Also neurodivergent. I have ADHD, and I'm also navigating life with PTSD. I practice what I preach daily, which consists of really engaging in diverse self-care. Diverse self-care is my acronym for the 7 types of self-care that keep us wealthy and healthy. It is a struggle. It is a struggle sometimes to engage in self-care, but it's a skill. And I think that just like we have to develop our financial literacy, we also have to develop the ways that we take care of ourselves. That is something that I know I'll be on a lifelong journey, and I hope that you are too. Okay. I teach people to use money as a tool for wellness and liberation. I am not one of these financial coaches who's like trying to get you to be very frugal and cut down your expenses. That's not my style. I believe that you have skills that you can monetize and that you can increase your income. And if right now you just don't have enough money to max out your Roth IRA or other financial goals, that just means we got to work on creating a plan for you to increase your income. That is about me. let me tell you guys a little bit about you. Thank you, everybody who registered today. Of the people who registered, we have about 47% have a Roth IRA. And then we have another 47% that do not have a Roth IRA. And I'm looking at these numbers and I'm like, is that even going to add up to 100%? I think I did this wrong. Because I feel like that's way too much. I must not have done this completely correct. Okay, there's also some of you that are not sure whether you have a Roth IRA. I have that 73.7% of you have never maxed out a Roth IRA, but 26% of you have maxed one out. And I asked you, would you like to contribute to a Roth IRA for a partner or for someone else? Some of you said no, some of you said yes, and some of you said, I want to, but I don't know how. And in today's Roth IRA office hours, I'm hoping to make sure that you just walk away knowing how to open up a Roth IRA, knowing how to max one out, and also feeling comfortable, if you want to, contributing for someone else. These are the questions that you submitted. And these are the questions that we're going to be answering today. I do have like a little agenda that I just want to make sure to cover with everybody. These are the questions you submitted. As we are going today, as I am talking to you for the next, how many minutes? Like 52 minutes, okay? I want you to be dropping questions in the chat, okay? And just to make sure that the y'all know how to use the chat, can you guys like drop an emoji right now in the chat so that I just know everyone knows where it's at? There's no, I don't want technology to get in the way of you getting the information you need. So just drop any little emoji, any emoji in the chat. I want to make sure that we are alive and that we are present. Thank you for the person who's done it so far. Okay, we got 2 people in, but we have other people in the room. Keep dropping those emojis. All right, these are the questions that you submitted. I'm going to do my whole little spiel, and then we'll also come back to these questions to see if there's any questions that I missed that you want to make sure that I cover. Okay, so what type of fund is best to invest in? Which one to pick? And how do they work? How do I start a Roth IRA? Where do I invest in a Roth IRA? And is there an automatic system that collects the contributions to invest? How do I set up a Roth IRA? What is a Roth IRA? How do I get started? How often should I check or change my strategy? How does it work? What's the difference between a Roth IRA and just an IRA? Understanding how to navigate my Fidelity IRA account. It seems to have a lot of helpful tools, but I don't fully understand it all. How to automate, should invest more than one mutual fund or stick one and max it out to the contribution limit? Do I have the right one? My business contributions versus my personal. I'm wondering if this has to do like with your different accounts. How do I automatically invest? How much would I need to open one? How to get started? Okay, so these are all your questions. And because of that, this is what we're going to cover today. How to open up a Roth IRA, how to automate contributions and investments, how to open a Roth IRA for a loved one, information from other questions. This is what you're going to learn, and how to work with me one-on-one. All right, so there are 4 steps to investing in the stock market. 1, you choose a brokerage firm. 2, you choose an account. 3, you make your contributions. 4, you choose your assets. Now, not everybody has access to an employer retirement account. When you do have access to an employer retirement account, you don't get to choose your brokerage firm. Your employer has already decided that for you. Your account is usually a 401k or a 403b. Some of you might have a SEP IRA or a simple IRA too. Those are employer-sponsored retirement accounts. So you're not choosing those. You do make your contributions, and usually they're just automatically taken out from your paycheck, whatever you've decided to contribute, and then you choose your assets. So when you are already investing with your employer, 3 of the steps, you don't really have to think about that much. I mean, I guess you do have to think about how much you want to contribute, but we'll say at least half of the steps you're not thinking about. When it comes to opening up a Roth IRA, you're going to have to think about these, like one additional step. 1, you choose a brokerage firm. And these are all brokerage firms that I have personally worked with, and I just like, they don't pay me. I'm not like sponsored by them at all. I just have accounts with each one of them, and they work for me. Also, my clients have accounts with these brokerage firms. There are other accounts that my clients have had. and some of them I don't like. I'll be transparent. I'm not a big fan of Robinhood. I think now Robinhood does have Roth IRAs, but they didn't always. Okay, these brokerage firms have been around for a long time, especially Vanguard and Fidelity. They've been here for a long time. What I like about these brokerage firms is Vanguard. They were the first ones to start doing something called index funds. Index funds are a type of asset. Okay, back in the day, not that back in the day, right? Because Roth IRAs isn't something that was even available to us until the 1990s. So before, when people were investing, you had to have someone who would invest on your behalf. Vanguard was the first brokerage firm to make things a little bit more simple by creating index funds. They said, you know what? Let people choose what they want to invest in. And that is why I really like Vanguard. What I don't like about Vanguard is to invest with them, you need to have a minimum of $1,000 for some type of assets. These are our assets down here. And for some, you also need to have a minimum of 3,000. So their threshold to be able to invest with them requires you to already have a lot of money. Unlike Fidelity. Fidelity allows you to start investing with as little as $10. That's why I like Fidelity. What I also like about Vanguard, it has low expense ratios. Expense ratios. That is a word I want y'all to remember. Expense ratios is what you pay, the cost, the fee that you pay for investing. Okay. So we have Vanguard, we have Fidelity, Charles Schwab. I had clients who had accounts with Charles Schwab. So then I decided to open up an investment account for my godson with Charles Schwab. What I like about Charles Schwab is that they have like these different, like an educational platform, some videos in there. So I thought that was cool. E-Trade, we opened one when we were saving to buy a house. And so we got an account with E-Trade, and my husband is someone who likes it. What I can say that I like about it is it has really high security, but so do all of these too. But my husband was like, this is the one with the best security, and he's a software engineer. I don't really like the layout and what it looks like on the screen. But again, these are all for different brokerage firms that you can work with. And I know that one of you who registered is already working with Fidelity. Okay, so that is familiarity. For this presentation, I'm probably going to talk mostly about Fidelity because, again, I like that you can start investing with them with as little bit as $10. And I think that's just like the most accessible. All right, so you choose a brokerage firm. You choose a brokerage firm. Today, this is if you don't already have a Roth IRA, I want you to be like, any, mini, miny, mo, catch a tiger by the toe. Honestly, if you're going to choose one, choose between these two. If you have at least $1,000 to already start investing, then maybe you go with Vanguard. If not, then go with Fidelity. It's simple. We don't need to spend all this time. Like, I want you guys to understand that for when we have information and then we're not taking action on that information because we're feeling so insecure, that's a trauma response. It's just perfectionism trying to like show up to try to protect us. This is so simple. That is what I wish I would have known gonna be 6 years ago when I started to invest. I was somebody, because of my own personal money wounds, was so scared about taking actions around investing. And thanks to therapy and also working with coaches, that's not something I have to deal with anymore. So I just want to plant that seed. I know that me telling you like, don't let perfectionism get in the way when it is a coping mechanism isn't going to automatically take everything away for you, but I'm planting the seed. Okay. Just choose a brokerage firm. Second, you're going to choose an account. And because this is Roth IRA office hours, everyone here, we're choosing a Roth IRA. Why? Let's talk about it. And I'm going to share this link with all of you in here. These are my top 10 reasons why you want to have a Roth IRA specifically. Now, a Roth IRA is just an account, just like you can have a checking account, just like you can have a savings account. A Roth IRA is a retirement account. What's really cool about it is that all the money that you put in there is going to grow tax-free. So as you're earning, as compound interest is doing its thing in your account, you don't have to pay taxes on the capital gains or the dividends. It's just growing. And when you pull that money out of your account, when you retire at the age of 59 and a half, or possibly sooner, if you're, trying to buy a house, that's another reason why I like a Roth IRA, then you don't have to pay taxes on that money either. So that is one reason. So tax-free growth, tax-free withdrawals in retirement. You have flexible contributions. Okay. You can withdraw your contributions, take your money out of that account at any time, not your earnings, but any of your contributions. This is why sometimes like online people will create like, oh, use your Roth IRA like as an emergency fund. I'm not really a fan of that kind of content, but the reason why people do that is because you can pull out contributions from a Roth IRA at any time. There are no required minimum distributions. Okay. That just means that there's not a time, there's not an age where you have to start pulling the money out, unlike traditional IRAs, where that's the case. It's ideal for when you have lower income years. If you know you're going to be at a higher tax bracket later, then this is a way for you to invest money and not have to worry about taxes. You can use it for a first-time home purchase. You can withdraw up to $10,000 of the earnings, not just the contributions, okay? But you could also do contributions, penalty-free from your first home if the account is at least 5 years old. It is great for side hustlers and entrepreneurs, freelancers, contractors, consultants, anyone who has like their own business who doesn't have an employer, because you don't have to have an employer retirement account. You could just open up your Roth IRA. It's easy to automate, especially with platforms like Fidelity, Vanguard, or Charles Schwab. It can be used for a loved one's future too. So you can fund a Roth IRA for a non-working spouse if you're married and filing jointly, and also for like a teenager if they're working. You have to have earned income in order to contribute to a Roth IRA, unless you do a spousal IRA. A spousal IRA says like, hey, I'm married, we file our taxes jointly. I don't like, let's say I don't have any income coming in, but my partner does, my spouse does, then I could use my spouse's income to contribute to my Roth IRA. Okay, so that's nice. Now, if it's your child, a teenager who's working, they have to have earned income. But like Beyonce has her kids performing in the concert right now, they're maxing out their Roth IRAs. They're earning income. As long as you have earned income, then you can contribute to a Roth IRA. And it helps you diversify your retirement strategy, because you know that at retirement, you're going to have money that you pull out and you're going to have to pay taxes on it, but you're also going to have money that is completely tax-free. And everyone, when it comes to planning for retirement, should make sure that they are working on their Roth IRA. Okay. Should make sure that they're contributing to tax-free retirement accounts. You want to have that tax-free stuff. All right. So the next thing is you're opening up the Roth IRA. I've shared with you why you want to have the Roth IRA. The next thing is as long as you qualify. So this is the IRS website. Okay. This is where you want to go for your like financial information. If you are if you're married and you're making less than $200,000, then you can contribute to a Roth IRA. If you are single, head of household, or married filing separately, you can contribute up to the limit if you're making less than $146,000. This list right here is important. Okay. It's important that you know if you're making too much money and also if you're not making enough. Let's say you work 1 year and you only made $3,000. The maximum that you can contribute to your Roth IRA is $3,000. Okay, it is your earned income. Let's say that you make more than you're single and you make more than 146,000. You can't invest directly into a Roth IRA. You're going to have to do something called a backdoor Roth IRA, which unless somebody asks that question here, I'm not going to talk about that during this call. Okay, so key things here is we want to make sure that you understand why you want a Roth IRA, and also make sure that you qualify. You have to have earned income, and you have to make sure that you're not making too much. Great question. Does unemployment count towards earned income? I don't think it does. And because I'm not 100% sure, I'm just going to Google it right now. Okay. Does I don't think it does count as earned income for a Roth IRA. I want to show you guys how I do Google information so that you can see how I get like what sources. Okay, so Investopedia is a good source. I also like Fidelity. Oh, look it. Unearned income also includes unemployment. So no, it does not. It does not include it. Okay, so if you're on unemployment, you cannot use, yeah, you cannot use, this is also unearned income. Okay, you cannot use Social Security benefits, pensions, annuities, cancellation of debt, and unemployment compensation. Is earning income based on what you are filing on your taxes? Yes. Another great question, Jennifer. It is yes. Your earned income is based on what you report. And what you want to make sure that you're reporting is that, and if you want to max out your Roth IRA, and the maximum that you can contribute if you're less than 50 years old is $7,000, then you would want to make sure that you're reporting at least $7,000. Oh, look, Maria says, looks like disability income is included, but it is not unemployment income. So not unemployment, not taxable Social Security benefits, not those. Thank you. You know, I have a client named Maria Luisa, and I'm not sure if this is my client. Maria Luisa, is that you or is this just someone else? Oh, it is. Hi, Maria Luisa. Thanks for joining us. Okay, so step one, you choose your brokerage firm. Step two, you choose your account. You make sure that you qualify. You know that you can qualify if you have that earned income. Step three is you're going to make your contributions. The minimum amount is going to vary. And I say that it varies because the cost of different index funds, like what each of these brokerage firms require for you, is going to vary. Like I said, Fidelity, you can start investing with as little as $10. With Vanguard, some of its index funds require a minimum of $1,000. And that's to buy the assets. The maximum varies based on your age. And I have this linked here, and I want to show you guys once again how I'm using the IRS website. I want to share with you guys like every website that I use so that when you're asking questions and you're looking for information, you also feel like confident going to those same websites, right? You can trust that information. So far, IRS. So here you can see that if you are 50 years or older, you can contribute right now $8,000. If you're less than 50, then it's going to be $7,000. Great question. Jennifer asked, what happens if you contribute more, not realizing that you are above the limit? You're going to have to pay penalties. And sometimes what you can do is before you've actually filed your taxes, you can remove the money and you could take out the money. So, and another thing to keep in mind is that your contribution limits are based on your adjusted gross income. So let's say that you make $166,000. Okay, you make $166,000, but you max out your employer retirement account. And let's say you put, 20,000 just to make the math easy. No, let's do the 21,000. Okay. If you make 160,000 and you subtract the $21,000 that you've contributed to your 401k, then you're still good. You're okay to be able to contribute to your Roth IRA. It is your adjusted gross income. Other things that will reduce your taxable income is FSA contributions. So FSA healthcare, FSA dependent care, also your employer retirement account contributions. Jennifer, let me know if that answers your question. All right. So chose a brokerage firm. We chose the account. We know the Roth IRA is the right fit for us. You make your contributions. You decide how much you're going to invest, and then you choose your assets. Okay. Now, this, I think, for me, I think step one was very scary. That was easy, choosing the Roth IRA. I knew that I was going to go with a Roth IRA. making my contributions, I was like, I had this $2,000 that was like some extra cash flow that I had that was beyond like money that I needed for my savings or my sinking funds. And so my first contribution to a Roth IRA was $2,000. It's why I went with Vanguard. But then I just had the $2,000 there. And this is important. You have to remember that just because you put $2,000 in doesn't mean that the money's invested. Unlike a checking account or a savings account, you need to then buy your investments. And there's a lot of information about that, right? So one of the ways I think that's most popular is that you just buy individual stocks. Individual stocks, excuse me, like maybe Apple or Costco, right? You just choose an individual stock. Well, the problem with that is that when we are choosing individual stocks, we're not going to be very diversified, right? Like if you're only putting your money in Apple and that's all that you're investing in, well, if Apple's doing good, cool. But if Apple has, a bad quarter or something goes wrong with Apple, then that's going to really impact your portfolio, right? The money can go down. We've seen this in crypto, right? We've seen sometimes like people buy a certain coin and then it goes up, and then we've had people whose coin like goes bad, and then there goes their portfolio. They lose that money. So individual stocks, I mean, Apple is a company that's in the top 500. Costco's a part of the S&P 500. These are top companies. So that's like you're not going to be so scared or worried about it. But let's say, you had somebody who was like, oh, I'm investing in this company, right? And maybe it's like a newer company. Maybe it's not a company that's been around for so long. It becomes riskier. And so the way I like to talk about like choosing your assets is thinking about like, if you came to my house tomorrow and said, I'm gonna buy Soledad.
We're learning about money.
Let me just silence. Okay. If you came to my house and you're like, I'm gonna buy Soledad her favorite flowers, and you showed up with one single rose, maybe I like roses, maybe I don't like roses. But if you showed up with a bouquet of flowers, and in that bouquet there was sunflowers and roses and tulips and peonies and all these different types of flowers, then the likelihood that my favorite flower is in that bouquet is like, it has increased. That's the difference between individual stocks and ETFs, index funds, and target date funds. Okay, these types of assets are a bunch of companies together, which allows you to be a lot more diversified. The easiest way for you to start investing is through a target date fund. A target date fund, and again, I linked NerdWallet. This is another company that I trust, that I like getting information from them. Okay. This is an example where they show you 5 low-cost target date funds for 2025. And if we go to Fidelity's website, and we could see some of these here. Okay, so let's see. This is a Fidelity one. This right here, that symbol, that's how you start. That's how you actually buy your assets. Okay, you have to know your ticker symbol. So let's take that, put it in here, and let's review this asset. This is something that you could buy. Okay, now something that I look at right away, the return. The return of the investment is pretty high. It's above average. We like that. We like our money to be making more money. More specifically, this year, this asset has had an average rate of return of 12%. That is beautiful. Right now, your high yield savings account probably doesn't give you more than 4% in interest. Here, we're getting 3 times that. We like that. Over 10 years, it's around 8.77%. That's nice. That's okay. The closer we have it to 10% rate of return, the better. All right. So questions about rate of return? Let me just check this. Okay. How much you can buy is based on what you have invested. How much you can buy is based on how much money you have, right? So let's say that you had $2,000. Well, this target date fund per share costs $27.76. So we would take $2,000, we divide it, let's do it actually. Calculator. $2,000 divided by $27.26. Oh, I don't even know if that was the amount. I don't remember. Oh yeah, it was. Oh no, it was 76 cents, not 26. But we're looking at around 73 shares. And so how you make money is, let's say that you go ahead and you buy this target date fund and you get 73 shares of this amount. And then over time, 5 years from now, this $27.76 doesn't cost that much to buy it anymore. Let's say, 5 years from now it costs $35. So you purchased 73 shares. We can multiply that by $35. Your $2,000 has now become 2,567. And it is likely, if we're looking at a 12% rate of return for this year, 8% rate of return, it's going to be even more. And so this is your money making you money. And you continue to buy new shares because you reinvest your dividends or your capital gains and you keep buying. And so you're getting more shares and the value of that money keeps going up. Let's look at here, FEO, FX, let's see. So here we can see that this account first became available in 2009. In 2009, you can buy it for $10. So imagine if you had bought so many shares at $10. Well, let's do the math, right? So calculator. $2,000 divided by 10 is, I feel like I should be doing that in my head, 200, but let's just confirm 200. But now the value, each of those shares is worth $27.76. So that $2,000 has now grown to $5,552 while you were sleeping, while you were living your life, while you were getting a massage, while you were at a restaurant, while you were cleaning your house. Okay. And if you had, let's say in 2009, maxed out your Roth IRA, right? And I don't know what the maximum was in 2009. The Roth IRA maximum contributions change every single year. So that's something we have to be mindful of. That's why I wanted you to look at the IRS website. But let's say that in 2009, the maximum was 5,000. So you maxed out your Roth IRA. You decided to just buy this target date fund. And we're going to get into like the specifics a little bit more. It was $10 for each one, for each share. So you now have 500 shares. We check that balance right now. And this is assuming that you didn't even contribute again, right? That you just did a one-time contribution. That would now be worth $13,880. So your $5,000 has now grown so much. And what we're doing here is we're not just doing a one-time contribution. We want to make these contributions consistent. We want to make them regular, and we want to put ourselves on track to maxing out our Roth IRAs every single year. It is the easiest way that we could all become millionaires. All right, Jennifer says, if you have a 403B, does that affect how much you can invest in a Roth IRA? Great question. No, it doesn't. You can have a 403B, you can max out your 403B, and you can also max out your Roth IRA. Okay, you can have both of those. Now, if you have a Roth IRA and a traditional IRA, then yes, you would you have to start looking at limits. Combined, you could not have more than $7,000 in your IRAs. Okay, but if you have a 403B, that's already money that's reducing your taxable income. You're not going to also want to put money in a traditional IRA, just 403B and also a Roth IRA to have that balance between tax-free money and money that is going to get taxed at retirement. All right. So we talked, got some more questions. Should you aim to max out your 403B before your Roth IRA? Maria Luisa, that is a very good question, and it's gonna depend. In Wealth para Todos, we talk about the 10 stages of financial security. The first thing when we start investing is contributing at least 5% to a retirement account. You get to choose whether that 5% is in a Roth account or in a traditional account. Usually, and it varies based on individual situation, okay? So usually you want to work on reducing your taxable income so that you have a higher tax refund, and then you could use your tax refund to max out your Roth IRA. Like that is a strategy, that is a skill. And I say usually in terms of the context of my clients. My clients' income range from like $60,000 to $250,000. Okay. The people who are 250, they have to do backdoor Roth IRAs. Always like if I don't answer the question completely, drop me another question. Okay. But I always want to know that I've answered your question. So please let me know if that worked. Violeta, what about if you have a rollover IRA? Does that limit it too? Great question. No, your rollover IRA is different from your Roth IRA. Your rollover IRA is because you had a previous employer and you left that employer, so you transfer that money into a rollover IRA. That is money that has already been taxed, has already been like taken care of. Now, if this rollover IRA was traditional money, it has not been taxed, and you want to convert it to a Roth IRA, you're converting over here, that also does not count towards your limit. Okay. But in order to convert your rollover IRA to a Roth IRA, you will have to pay taxes and be prepared to do that. Because traditional money in a traditional 403B or money in a traditional IRA hasn't been taxed yet. All right, great questions. All right, so we talked about the target date fund. Let's go back to talking about a target date fund because it is one of the most simplest ways that you can start investing. And I just want you to see what it looks like. So as you can see here, this target date fund is 53% in US stocks. It has about 37% in international stocks. It has about 9% in bonds and then some other ones. If we click on this, we can get even more specific. So notice here that the stocks that it has, it is in this specific index fund. Now remember over here, I told you guys here's target date funds. Now these are index funds. Most target date funds that have low expense ratios, and remember the low expense ratio is what we pay to invest in this account. So this expense ratio is 0.12%. A low expense ratio is anything below 0.15%. Okay. So we want expense ratios below 0.15%. Expense ratios below. Okay. So this is good. This is a good deal. Now, are there target date funds that are even cheaper? Yes, at Vanguard. Vanguard will have, the fees will be less. I was helping a client yesterday, actually, I can show you guys here. You can see my little poster over here. I was helping a client yesterday in terms of looking at target date funds and index funds. And we found, let's see, can we show it here? Yeah, this target date fund at Vanguard has an expense ratio of 0.08%. Okay, so it's cheaper there. Okay, but remember at Vanguard, you need to already have a certain amount of money to invest. That client had like $20,000, which by the way, Violeta, this client had rolled over money from a previous employer, put it in an IRA, was deciding to then convert it to a Roth IRA. Okay, so that's that part. So we have these low expense ratios. We like that. And then inside here, this target date fund is just these index funds. So some people, instead of just buying a target date fund, they say, you know what? I'm just going to buy each of the index funds individually and put that in my portfolio. So instead of just having like one target date fund in their portfolio, they say, I'm going to buy the total market index fund. I'm going to buy this international index fund. And I'm also going to buy this bond index fund. And maybe they'll even buy this other bond index fund. That is what we call like a four fund index fund portfolio. Okay. So here, let's say we looked at this specifically, and this is how things get cheaper. Okay. Because look at this. Look at how here we have a rate of return that's higher. We love that for ourselves. And it's not even considered completely so high. Look at this expense ratio, 0%. That is beautiful. So if you could, like, instead of paying 0.12%, you could just pay 0.0. And this is, you know what, I didn't include this in the slides, but I have to show you guys. I have to show you because this is like the number one way that you could always save so much money is that you go inside, you look at your portfolios, and you check your expense ratios. I'm going to show you how much money you could lose to fees. So let's say your initial investment amount, let's say you're maxing out your Roth IRA this year, $7,000. And you plan to max it out every single year moving forward. And let's say that you're going to do this for the next 15 years. And your rate of return, we're going to go with that rate of return from this target date fund. So we'll do this rate of return, 8.77%. And the expense ratio with this target date fund is 0.12%. Now, before I even put in 0.12, I'm going to share with you one of the most common things I see with clients is that they have target date funds or assets that have expense ratios that are 1%. That's so high, everybody. And, you know, we think, what? That's little. You know, like if we were like going shopping and someone was like, I'm going to give you 1% off, we'd be like, I don't care. Like that's not a lot of money. But in this world where we're talking about compound interest, not only is that compound interest also like, is that interest compounding? So is the expenses. So I'll just show you what 1% looks like first. And you can see that you would pay a total of $21,544 over the life of that investment. Okay, $21,000. That's a lot of money. And now we could compare that even to what's I think like more common would be around 0.45%. Well, now that's only 9,000. That's less than half of money that's going towards these fees. Well, now if we choose an expense ratio that's 12%, look at, you see the big difference between $2,000 versus $21,000? Knowing your expense ratios, that is a number that you all want to know, okay? Understanding your expense ratios. So any questions about that? Let me drop that link in here. All right, so we have target date funds. You can go with the target date fund. You could also create your own portfolio by just getting these different index funds yourself. And if you did that, you would see that here the expense ratio would be 0%. Beautiful. We love that for you. Over here, if you went with this index fund too, the expense ratio would be 0.01%. That's lovely, right? Like let's put that information over here. 0.01. Now we're looking at fees of, wait, 0.01 of only $226 compared to the 21,000, right? That's a big difference, okay? So low expense ratios, we love that for ourselves. High return of investment, we love that for ourselves. And so you could create your own portfolio. So instead of just having a target date fund, you could just then choose to get these individual index funds. Okay, and then you'd also like maybe get some bonds in there. And again, this one is 0%. All right, Maria Luisa, I have FXIAX, which is one asset allocation that makes up the Fidelity Target Date Fund. Let's check it. Thank you for sharing your ticker symbol with us. All right. So this is what you have. Did I put that in correctly? FXIAX. Yes, I did. Okay. So that is an index fund. This index fund tracks the S&P 500. So it's just the top 500 companies. This index fund is not the total stock market. Over here, that other one that we were looking at, this one, this is every single company that is publicly traded. Yours is only the top 500. Right now, what your portfolio doesn't have are international stocks and bonds. If this is the only asset that you have right now, it is not a target date fund. It is an index fund. Okay. A target date fund assumes that it's gonna have like various funds in there. Usually index funds, sometimes other mutual funds. Follow-up questions, let me know. Also something to keep in mind is what we like about this one, about this asset that you do have, is it does have higher rate of return. Look at that 12.85%. It's all stocks. And the expense ratio is 0.015. So let's actually put that in there. If we have this higher rate of return of 12.85, and we have that expense ratio of 0.015. Notice how much more money you will have, and the fees are low. So it's a beautiful thing. It is a beautiful thing, Maria, Luisa, to have that account. All right. And then again, things to keep in mind, like there are people who choose, like, you know what? I'm only going to invest in US stocks, and they don't even want to invest in international stocks. It's just it's not as balanced in terms of your risk tolerance and your asset allocation, right? Like when we think about here, this last step, choosing your assets, we want to think about your risk tolerance. We want to think about your asset allocation, and that asset allocation will be a combination of stocks and bonds. If you are if you were born, like, let's say that you are 45 and below, then you should still have 90% of your assets in stocks. Okay, that's like a general little rule. Okay. So Jennifer says, if you're first starting out, would you recommend target or index funds? When I first started investing, and I opened up my Roth IRA with Vanguard, with my $2,000, I don't think I could afford a target date fund. Now I wish I kind of would have looked that up ahead of time. Vanguard. Let me see. I will tell you, the target date funds are based on your birthdays. And I will be able to tell you which one I bought just from looking over here. Vanguard target date retirement funds based on my birthday, the year I was born. This is the one I own. And let's see. If the minimum fee, it doesn't say, huh? It doesn't say the minimum amount here to buy it. How annoying. I don't know if for a target date fund with Vanguard, if you need $1,000 or $3,000. I forget. If I needed, if it only cost $1,000, then I probably bought this one and just did 2,000. Okay. I did that because, again, it is like a set it and forget it. You already know it's diversified. Here in Vanguard, look at how this expense ratio is even lower than the one at Fidelity. And oh, look, here it is. Investment minimum was $1,000. So this is the one that I bought when I opened up my Roth IRA. Then, as I read books and I got more comfortable, and it didn't feel like a foreign language and so new and so scary, because that's what it felt like for me. I was the first person in my family to open up a Roth IRA. I was the first one to be like, everybody, let's invest in the stock market. My family thought I was crazy, but they were really cool with gambling. They were ready to go to every casino, but they were not about this stock market life. And I'm not gambling here. I'm not. I am poco a poco increasing my financial security and building wealth. Okay. Can you invest in a target and an index fund at the same time? Yes, you can. You can if you wanted to. And so like I said, I started off with having just this target date fund, and then I eventually started to buy index funds, and I have some portfolios that are just like index funds only. My solo 401k is just index funds that I just selected, modeling from a target date fund. But again, I like to share these because one, that one's the easiest one. Easiest one. You just research your birthday and you choose the target date fund that they tell you. Just keep in mind the expense ratios. Index funds requires a little bit more, right? It's going to require like just understanding and choosing it. Also being aware of expense ratios. ETFs is what people usually buy when they don't have their contribution isn't going to buy, like they don't have enough money to buy a certain amount of index funds. ETFs are like index funds, but they're traded like stocks. So you can kind of buy them at any time. That's a little bit more advanced, everybody. But I will just say this thing that a lot of times on social media, what we're talking about for a long time, maybe it's starting to change, but people were just talking about individual stocks, which is way, way, way more advanced than these things here. Okay. Because again, like that's a lot riskier. It's just a lot riskier. All right. I'm looking at our time. You guys have done a great job asking questions throughout this presentation. I just want to share the following with you. So how to automate your contributions and your investments. This process is going to vary based on the brokerage firm you choose. I shouldn't have said platform you choose, but that's what I meant. I'll just change that right now. So here, based on the brokerage firm that you choose. So if you go with Fidelity, then it might look a little different. If you go with Vanguard, it's different. I did include these tutorial videos. Something to keep in mind is that these tutorial videos, the Vanguard one is more recent. It's the one that I found on YouTube. I watched it myself. I've done this process with my clients, so I can tell you like it works. I was able to find one with Vanguard that's pretty updated. The one for Fidelity was from 2022. But beyond just watching the tutorial videos, now because of AI, you could also just do this. You could just say like, how to automate contributions in Fidelity. That's how you did that. And here it gives you a step-by-step process. And you would just have to like navigate that on Fidelity, and you'd be like, okay, log into my account, go to the trade section, select your current investment, and you would try it. So that's what I want to say. It's very simple. It's very simple to set it up. Set it and forget it. Our individual stocks, ETFs. So ETFs are like a basket, a variety of stocks too. And it's very similar to index funds because it has a lot of different companies. Except they're like kind of like index funds, except they're traded like stocks. So index funds, you could only buy at the end of closing day, at the end of the day. ETFs, you could buy throughout the day. If I open up a Roth IRA this month, would I base adjusted gross income on my last tax filing? Very good question. No, you would want to do it based on what you expect your adjusted gross income is going to be at the end of this tax year. So you're looking at 2025. You want to look at all the income. And look at your 403B contributions, because if you are making more than, and it depends on your tax filing status. If you're single, head of household, married, filing jointly, then it's going to vary. Next question. With target date funds, okay, let me just answer this one and then I'm going to make sure to answer the rest of the questions you guys are dropping in the chat. So how to open a Roth IRA for a loved one. Make sure that they have earned income and meet the income limits. If you're married and filing jointly, you can open up a spousal IRA. Nowhere on any website is it going to say spousal IRA. That is just a term of like you're using someone else's earned income. You'll still just open up the Roth IRA. And then you just follow these same steps for your loved one. You go to the brokerage firm, you go to the account, you fill out the information, and then you just follow these same steps. So investing for a loved one, as long as they have earned income, is easy peasy lemon squeezy. All right. let me get to the questions that you guys are asking. We have 4 minutes and then I'm hopping off because I do have another call. Let me just get through these as fast as possible. Okay. Let's see. Where's the chat? With target date funds, do you need to keep contributing for a certain amount of years, date in the future? So no, you don't. You don't. No, what the date that's related to a target date fund has to do with like your birthday year. And the reason why that matters is because they are going to see this one here, this next one, they're going to adjust it. So as you get older, as you get closer to retirement, they're going to have less in stocks and more in bonds in order to keep your portfolio a lot more balanced. Stocks, the value of stocks is like what makes us a lot of money, but it's also more volatile versus bonds that tend to be like the same amount of money that we would get in a high yield savings account, which is why some people just do pure stocks and then they just keep cash in their high yield savings account. But I've seen that. Some people do that. Okay, other questions here. Are you able to open a Roth IRA through your bank? Most people have shared that's where they open theirs. So this is what I have seen because my mom and dad both did this. They're like, we opened up a Roth IRA because you told us. They didn't open up a Roth IRA. It was like a Roth savings account. And so, like, the thing is, like, you open up just be careful, right? Like, check your bank. Like, is it a big bank? Like, my parents were like in a credit union. Okay. Are you choosing your assets? Are you having someone else selected? Like my parents, they're just putting money in this account, and I've told them repeatedly, like, you guys move it out, put it in a real Roth IRA. But now they retired and now they can't even do that. Okay. So just be careful. Like part of the questions that you need to ask yourself, if you open it up at your bank, is it an individual retirement account or is it actually a type of savings account? And if it's a savings account, then it's possible that you're not even choosing assets, right? You're not choosing stocks, you're not choosing bonds. So then you're not going to have as high a rate of return. Andrea, let me know if that answers your question. From what I do own already, Fidelity is reinvesting my dividends on its own. Should I let it be, or what should I look at to make sure it's the best option? Yeah. So my question for you, Lily, would be to look more into it and see, like, find out your ticker symbol. Look at like what you're investing in, look at that ticker symbol and see like, what is my expense ratio? How much am I paying for it? What is my annual rate of return? Sometimes people do robo advisors and that can get expensive. All right, my loves, we have to hop off today. I just want to let you know I will be hosting these Roth IRA office hours every second Tuesday of the month at the same time. If you go do your thing and then you have new questions, sign up again. I also want to invite all of you today to consider working with me one-on-one. I would love to be your money and self-care coach. If you fill out this link, you can just schedule a time for us to talk. On that talk, it'll be 45 minutes. We'll talk about what your financial goals are and what 12 months of me as your money and self-care coach can help you do. I've had clients who've come in and we work on increasing their income so that not only they're maxing out their Roth IRAs, they also do their 403Bs. And we do that through various ways, right? We develop systems so that they're better like with their budgeting and also just one-on-one support, right? In one-on-one coaching for 4 months, you'll have 12 45-minute one-on-one coaching calls, and you'll have access to me via WhatsApp. So like you just send me a message and then I respond to you. And any questions that come up, we're able to talk through it. And then you also get access to Wealth Those Academy, which consists of 9 calls a month, and you can get support there. I would love to work with you if you are just even a little curious, if you're setting little goals, if you're noticing like, oh, I want to do this, but I'm scared. Let's talk. Just book a call and we will talk with each other. All right, everybody. Hasta luego. See you next time.